Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Family Law Talk, presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm in the St. Louis metro area, with offices in Missouri and Illinois. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. My name is Kirk Stange, and I am a managing partner of Stange Law Firm, PC. Well, welcome to the episode today of Family Law Talk with Stange Law Firm. We've got an interesting topic. The title of the topic is Patience is a Key Virtue in Family Law and Divorce Litigation, and this is based on an article on our webpage, familylawheadquarters.com, dated November 28, 2014. So as a follow-up to the episode today, you can go to familylawheadquarters.com and read this article. Definitely an interesting article. And it has a link, actually, to the entire commencement address of Steve Jobs at Stanford University from 2005. So you could read that entire commencement address as a follow-up to the episode today. We're going to get into that topic in more detail here in just a second, but I will state, as I always do, that the choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements, and that the information you obtain today in this episode is general in nature and it may not apply to specific factual or legal circumstance. Therefore, if you need legal advice, you should definitely consult an attorney who is licensed and competent to practice law in your specific jurisdiction. All right, well, on to the topic. The topic is based on a commencement address from Steve Jobs, who was the former CEO of Apple. He's now deceased, but he gave a commencement address at Stanford University on June 12, 2005. And interestingly, Steve Jobs is not a college graduate himself, but he is one of the co-founders of Apple, obviously a very successful guy, a guy who was actually fired from a company, Apple, that he helped create and then was brought back on, sort of the renaissance of Apple later down the road after he had been previously fired. But a really interesting commencement address. If you just Google it, you will see there's so much talk about this commencement address. We're more than 9 years later at this point, and you can find all kinds of memorabilia about it, gifts. People make things like T-shirts, buttons. I've seen bumper stickers online with some of the sayings from Steve Jobs at this speech, and one of his most memorable catchphrases, I guess, was the one he ended with, which is stay hungry, stay foolish. And there are just lots of other bits of wisdom that people have kind of heralded as just good advice in terms of how to conduct yourself in your life and your business, in terms of love, in terms of your family. At this time, Steve Jobs was sick, and so he spent a lot of time addressing the fact that he'd been sick. And at that time, he thought he'd actually recovered from being sick and was on a path toward good health. Obviously, it didn't work out that way in the end. But in a key part of this commencement address, I think Steve Jobs has a quote which is really useful to clients going through divorce and family law litigation. And I'm just going to read this to you, and it's in the article itself on our webpage, like I said, and you can also follow a link to the commencement address itself. But here's a quote from Steve Jobs at Stanford University on June 12, 2005. Steve Jobs said this. He says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down and has made all the difference in my life." So an interesting quote there, and a quote there that I think coincides with the beliefs of lots of different philosophies out there along the lines of, everything in life happens for a reason, and you might not understand why things are working out a particular way, but versus spending a lot of time, questioning it, a lot of time debating it. I think kind of the overall moral and theme of it is the dots will connect looking backwards. They're not going to connect looking forward. So oftentimes, things happen in people's lives that maybe they don't understand. And in fact, a lot of the things that could be happening in a person's life, at the time, might seem really, to them at the time, it might seem like things aren't going their way, that maybe the deck is stacked against them. And a lot of people can, look at their particular situation in life and think that things are fatalistic, that things aren't going to work out. And of course, this can cause, people depression, anxiety, And it can cause people to behave in ways that might be counterproductive to their life. And so, divorce and family law cases, these are tough cases, and especially the cases that don't settle out of the gates and that require court appearances and litigation. These cases can take a tremendous amount of time. These cases can pen months. Sometimes these cases can pen longer than that. And at the end of the day, the hope is for people going through divorce or family law cases that they remain patient. Patient people who have a positive and upbeat attitude often do very well in family law cases because they understand that things might happen in their case that isn't going to make sense at the time. So there could be an early motion hearing. There could be like a temporary custody motion or temporary support motion that's heard in the case early on. Maybe that doesn't go the way the client wants it to go. In fact, the results of it are go in an opposite direction. And see, a lot of clients, when stuff like this happens in their case, they behave wrongly. They become impatient, they become upset, they become angry, and what they do is they lose faith in the judge. Maybe they lose faith in the guardian ad litem if there is one. Maybe they lose faith in their attorney. Some people lose faith in the whole judicial process and think that it can't possibly work out for them. And so what this causes lots of people to do, unfortunately, is make bad decisions, try to take matters in their own hands. If there's a temporary custody order, for example, that's put in place, versus abiding by it, maybe they don't because they think, at the end of the day, this case isn't going their way anyway. Maybe if they're ordered to pay child support or maintenance and it's an amount that they're not pleased with, that they think isn't fair, versus paying it, they don't pay it because, again, they think all is lost, things aren't going their way. And in short, when you look at the Steve Jobs quote, again, what they're trying to do is connect the dots looking forward. In other words, they want to understand, why things are happening in a particular way right now. And when they can't understand it, because at times lots of things happen in litigation that just doesn't make sense at the time. Sometimes, for example, a judge might have an early impression on a case. They might think, one thing or another thing in terms of specific issues in a case, but then over time, after seeing how the parties behave, judges can change their position and learn more about the parties, learn more about the facts, learn more about the kids, and over time, what they originally thought about a case might change itself. But that's a tough thing for clients, and so, they want to connect those dots looking forward. They want that crystal ball. They want to be able to understand what's going to happen, and because, items are happening in their case that don't make sense to them, again, they behave in a negative way. And so, to the listeners out there, divorce or family law cases are very difficult. And when you're going through one of these cases, you really have two options when things happen that you don't understand, which is one, you can get negative, you can become distrustful, you can think all is lost, that the case isn't going to go your way. And the reality is this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because a lot of people, once they go down this path, they start behaving in a way that really sabotages themselves in the case. And so if there was a temporary custody order that they didn't like from the beginning and they start behaving negatively, not abiding by that order, then the judge could very easily look at the case and think, I did the right thing here. Husband or wife didn't like that initial order in this case. They didn't like it. They weren't happy with it. But listen, over the course of time, they didn't handle that adversity in any kind of constructive way. And instead, it was the opposite of that. And again, this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Other people, and I've seen this happen in cases, they get that early court dates in a case, things might not go their way, that everything happens for a reason, and that, oftentimes the long path is the way to get a client to the best possible place. And so, again, to quote Steve Jobs, they get that it's all going to make sense in the end, that you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect them looking backwards. And you can realize, everything in life happens for a reason. What happened in court happened for a reason, and versus spending a bunch of time debating it, deliberating it, saying what if what if this had happened? What if that had happened? What if this evidence was presented? What if the judge knew that? What if my attorney had said this? What if my attorney had said that? Versus, really literally driving themselves crazy. They stay positive and upbeat and say, you know what? I was dealt the hand I was dealt, and it happened for a reason, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. And I'm going to show the court through really constructive behavior that maybe the court didn't do the right thing, but I'm going to do that in a positive and upbeat manner by doing what? Doing the right thing, by abiding by that court order, by paying that support, by doing what the judge and the guardian ad litem want me to do. And I'm going to trust that if I do that, all the dots will connect in the end, and that at the end of the day, things will make sense, things will happen in a positive manner. And in fact, I think what a lot of clients figure out too is what they originally thought was maybe best wasn't what was best. So a lot of people have an initial impression in terms of what might be best for their kids, but then they see something different happen, and every now and again, it's a surprising thing for clients. But every now and again, you get a client that goes, you know what, that isn't what I had wanted in the case. I didn't think that was necessarily the best outcome, but now that I've seen it in play over a period of time, you know what? Now I realize that there was some wisdom behind what took place, and it actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm actually glad it happened that way. So that is the wisdom of the Steve Jobs speech. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. Really a good approach to life, and certainly a good approach to divorce and family law cases for those going through them. So, again, that's the topic here today. I really encourage the listeners as well. Go to the article, read the article on familylawheadquarters.com, dated November 28, 2014, but then read the link from the Steve Jobs speech. If you're looking for a positive and upbeat message through the holidays, something uplifting, it's a great speech, certainly inspired a lot of people, and I would certainly encourage the listeners to check it out, and they can do that from familylawheadquarters.com. All right, well, that concludes today's episode. I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Family Law Talk with Stange Law Firm. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic, or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today.
Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better at Aquavita. Visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.